Hi, welcome to Eastern Training Center Littleton Adult Advanced BJJ Curriculum Unit 2. This is Professor Peter Straub. I'm Coach Nick Maverick. We're going to have a repeat of Unit 1's flow drill. It looks like this. So Unit 2 we'll be looking at what's called often the Dorsal Kimura. We also have called it the chicken coop in the past. I know that's what the kids' classes used to call it. But I'm going to call it the Dorsal Kimura. We're going to set it up from side control. But first we'll review the second technique from Unit 1. So again, Professor frames and pummels. I catch the pummel with my chest, elbow at the solar plexus. Lean back to make a C grip on the wrist, force it down to the mat. Get my grip set up. I'm going to switch my hips and pull Professor's back off the mat to expose it, but he sits up into me, so I post my head, roll over, re-roll, switch my hips, step over, finish the Kimura. Okay. So, this technique for setting up the Kimura from side control. This is mechanically simple, practically difficult. So Professor will be on his back, and we'll start with side control. So I'm gonna go with this side control setup. Often I like to scoop the head here, but we'll start here in this case. Now, what I'm gonna do is, Professor's got a frame in my neck, he's got a frame in my hip. I want to beat that frame in the hip. So what I'm going to do is go to my toes and use my left hip to press down into his wrist. What I'm doing is I'm trying to hyperflex his elbow here so that he decides he doesn't like that frame anymore and just flops off to the side. So I go high, crush down into the wrist. When I get here, I'll switch and make a wedge on the hip. Now I'm going to switch my hip. So I'm not sitting out. I'm just switching from pressing my left hip into the wrist to pressing my right hip into the wrist. So I'm at this kind of 45-degree, halfway between side control and north side. Keep my head low, and I take this hand and I make a wedge under Professor's elbow. We can come all the way up to the armpit if we like here, but I find just getting under the elbow, if he's keeping his elbow tight or low to the ground, this tends to be enough. If you can get all the way up here, even better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate so that my torso is rotating one direction and his is rotating the other direction, like a set of gears. So I come here. Notice that I'm still up on my toes, my hips are scissored, but look where my hands are. I'm kind of already in a Kimura grip right here. All I have to do is snatch the wrist. So now I take my left knee up to Professor's back, and I bring my right knee down in front of his elbow. This can end up in a lot of different places, and we're going to look later at how we deal with his various defenses here, but we're just here at this point. Now, we can finish this a number of ways. We can certainly pull up so that his elbow is at his shoulder line and stuff his hand behind his back for a finish, but that tends to be what's known as a push Kimura. So the setup is such that this is my pull arm, this is my push arm, and push Kimuras will certainly get you a finish, but they're not nearly as secure as the pull Kimura. So when we get here for the finish, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the elbow up to our chest so that the elbow is at his shoulder line, put it behind his back, and now we're gonna go back where we were in Unit 1. I'm gonna lead with this elbow over his hip to the mat. Everything else is already set up. I've already got the shoulder beat. I've already got the step over the head. So all I have to do is sweep the elbow out, head towards the hip, and pull my elbow towards my armpit. Now, what do we do with some of the common defenses from this position? So, get my setup here, switch hips, get my wedge, rotate. Now when I get here, Professor knows what's happening, So he's gonna choose a defense. Most commonly, he just locks his hands together here. If his elbow is out, which is often the case, that's great. I make my grips, put my knee inside this space. I can approach this a couple of different ways. I can go elbow deep and post here, or I can keep my grip set up if my balance is good. But now with my elbow over his bicep, all I have to do is pull to break this grip. Put the hand behind the back and go to that same finish. If he makes his grip here and his elbow is tight to his body, I have to deal with that. So I'll go deep, elbow to elbow, hand up high. This hand, I weave through and I put it on his leg here, like make a little wedge on his leg. Just pull at the elbow. Now I can fit my knee back inside that space. Go back to my same grips, pull up, behind the back, go to the side. If he grabs his clothing here, this is an easy one, whether I have my knee over his arm or not. All I have to do here is pull away from the submission. So it seems counterintuitive, but we can yank pretty hard away without threat of hurting our partner. But we can't yank back the other direction. So we can pull hard this way, but take it easy going this way. The most common defense here is when he puts his hand inside of his thigh. This is a tough one to deal with. This is probably his best option. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, again, drive my elbow deep, take this hand and grab the knuckle line. You can't grab one finger, but you can grab all the fingers, right? So if I just come in here and grab this knuckle line and pull this way, I can free that arm up. And then, without even changing my grips, I'll just come here and then I'll make my Kimura grips and finish with the side Kimura. Alternate to all of those, you also have the option. Let's say professor's hanging onto his belt here and I can't get it free because he's a lot stronger than me, but his elbow is exposed. What I'll often do is step up, step inside the armpit, so you'll notice that my elbow is all the way inside his armpit, and then I'll lay down to this shoulder, shoot this leg through. When I get here, I'll make a little trap triangle. With this hand, I reach and grab the back of his elbow, which is applicable to gi or no gi. I can grab here as well, but I would just get into the habit of grabbing here. Post my head on the mat, shoot my legs through, and then close the triangle and finish. That's unit 2. Thanks, guys.